check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it.
Hey, Greg and the CE call me hip hop junkie. Straight to your dome piece like Grass Monkey. All I wanna know, do you wanna get funky? CNC beats be kicking.
All right, and welcome back to the Dig Podcast. We have a special guest on this episode. I want to introduce you to Miss Taryn Parker.
Yay.
Hi, Taryn. How's it going so far?
Great. No complaints.
Perfect. I think I say this all the time, but any day that we wake up is a blessing for sure. That's what I say. Okay, and today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk all things volleyball. We're going to talk about the North Texas region. We're going to talk about Miss Parker and how she got started in the sport. We're also going to discuss her role as a mom, as a coach, helping out with the recruiting with her daughter. So right now, we'll go ahead and get started. Taryn, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our 3 listeners that might be listening in?
Love it. Yes. Thankful for that. So a little bit about me. I am from a small West Texas town. Both my parents were educators. My dad was a coach for, I think, nearly 40 years. So teaching and coaching was really the only life I ever knew. Went and played in college, and then after college got into coaching, and I started at a small private school in Midland, at Midland Class School, and then was at Midland High, and then was at UTBB, which is D2 in the Lone Star Conference, and then moved up to Dallas, where I coached as well. And then
Awesome.
I'm with Arete Athletics up here in the North Texas. So yes, all the things.
That is all great things. Now, being the daughter of a coach, first off, what sport did he coach?
Football.
Football. All right. Love our football in Texas.
Of course.
Being the daughter of a coach, you experienced it from that aspect, right? Of like, dad has to get ready for games, and I'm pretty sure he took wins and losses,
Very
hard
much.
like we do as coaches. So did you ever have a difficult time like discussing life or sports with dad?
I feel really thankful because, Dad was, I call him that old school blue blood type coach where I learned how to drive on a stick shift, going to meet coaches halfway to exchange real film.
Yes.
And I knew how I climbed up the band ladder to start the film up during practices. My mom did a great job we had dinners up at the field house because that was family time, because sometimes you didn't know when he was going to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Or things like that, and it was important to keep that family unit, even if it was at the field house breaking down film or whatever the case, at a basketball game, whatever the case, we were there. And so I felt like I got a firsthand blueprint of what the coaching life really was, the sacrifice of it, we sat up at the very top of the stands to not hear what people would be yelling and those type of things, which was weird when it's your dad. But then also just the community of it. You are loved by the school, by the players, by the community. And so there's also that side of it, not just the negative, but the positive of the inner workings of the coaching life.
Yeah, for sure. And that speaks volumes
Yeah,
about both your mom and dad
without a doubt.
really understanding how to keep the family dynamic together while that was going on. So kudos to both
Right?
your parents. That's awesome.
Yes.
So that really he was pretty much grooming you to be a coach, right?
Yeah.
Or to be
Yeah.
involved with
I had
athletics
no
somehow.
other choice but to go into the public school system.
Well, I'm sure it just felt natural to you,
It did.
right? So growing up in that environment felt really natural. Let's really talk about that. So, you played volleyball, you grew up as a coach's daughter, and after you're done and you start teaching,
Mm-hmm.
what was that one point where you first started, getting into coaching volleyball?
I think it was my parents were at everything. And when I thought about a career, I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I was like, what better mom job? Become a coach and teacher. Little did I know what investment that was. But it was one of those things. I'll always be grateful for my first coaching job because it was a small private school and where you literally did it all. I swept the floors, I had to set up gym, I had to come up with what we were doing in the weight room, I did all the laundry, I did everything, find all the workers. There wasn't this team per se that helped you set up everything on a game day. It was you. And
You were
so
the team.
you were the team. And I'll forever be grateful for that because then it gave me eyes, then moving to a 6A school where you're like, oh, thank you so much for sweeping the floor. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
you
thank you
appreciate those
so
people.
much that you were helping pick up after. And, things like that that just had so much more substance to it after kind of starting from the ground up.
It really makes you appreciate so much more, right?
My gosh, yes.
So when you're telling that story, it's funny because I got my start in a small private school as well. I was coaching middle school volleyball, and I literally set everything up myself. We didn't have anybody, so I know exactly
Yes.
what you're talking about. Perfect. So then now you're in year what? 10, 11, 13, 19?
Like now,
Yeah,
I
what, like how many
now
years
in
ago was that?
19.
Wow. All right. How are you
Yes.
in year 19? You're only like 22 years old. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Or I guess it's 18 actually. Yes.
Okay.
18.
So that's a pretty decent amount of time.
It is. The game has changed a ton and everything has changed in the dynamics of, I mean, yes, there was club back then, but it wasn't like what it is now. I mean, the level of athletes I feel like has completely changed. The game,
For sure.
the rules. I mean, played even back where it was to 15, you had to serve to get the point.
And side out scoring. I was coaching with side out scoring. Exactly.
Yes, and games were lasting 2.5, 3 hours.
It was like 10
Like,
missed
oh
serves in
my
a row.
gosh.
Nobody scored a point.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. So that brings us to, you said now you have a role in the club that you work at, Arete,
Yeah,
correct?
yes.
And let's talk a little bit about that role.
Yeah, so now I am one of the lead directors for our club prep and academy, which is kind of that base level working into the club. So a lot of families can't make some of the commitments that it really does take in club. And so, kind of more of a regional sense for the club prep. And then, academy is based on really building the foundation and the skill level of the athletes. Going in, if you're just trying out volleyball, you're brand new, not everybody just jumps in and is open level volleyball players. Like,
You got
there's
to learn
guys.
the fundamentals first. Exactly.
Yes. So yes, and then I coach the 16. Our 16s team is the team I'll have this year.
Okay, awesome. I was just about to ask like what team you were going to coach this year. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And so that's those 15-year 15s you were assisting with, right? You're going to now be their head coach.
Well, still assisting as well, but kind of took that role so I can still do all the others as well. And with Tara LeBay, who's a phenomenal coach and everything as well. So,
Yes, I know y'all had a great team. Which
and you need to come see our new facility.
I
It
need to make
is
my way over there.
real. It's
I've
amazing.
seen some pictures and videos, so it looks awesome.
It is. But yes.
And what does, so being in the game for as a coach for 18, 19 years and then a player for I don't
Yeah.
know 10, 12, 15 years,
Yes.
that's a long time. So you've had a tremendous amount of time to really think about what you want to do as a coach to lead young women, right? Tell our viewers kind of what your coaching philosophy is. What do you like to teach when it comes to the game?
Yeah, I hope someday on my tombstone it says we did life together, because I think that's really what encompasses what I believe a true coach does is they do life with you. They show you not only the skill, but I think the beauty of athletics is how many life lessons are in athletics and the grind of it, the having to understand different roles of it. And I think that would be what I would say on I don't have it's not just about the skill or just about the wins and losses, although they're amazing, but it's really about like that I've done life with them.
That's beautiful. I couldn't agree more. I think the first, I'd say like first 10 years that I was coaching, all I cared about was winning, right? Like I would just, that's all I wanted to do: win, go to nationals, get some medals, get the trophies, pose in
Yeah.
the pictures. Like, of course, I was just super competitive, right? And
Yes.
then I don't know when it happened, but there was this one team that I had, and everything just changed. Like the wins were coming, everything was great, but it just changed, and I started to develop these connections
Yes.
with the players, with the parents, with fellow coaches. And then my life totally changed when it came to volleyball. Then it was all about building
Yes.
connections and giving back,
Yeah.
right?
It's huge.
I couldn't agree more. I think we're definitely kindred spirit when it
We
comes
are.
to
We are. I
um
always say I would have friends who would be like, "Why are you coaching? It's so much time. It's so much this." And I would always say, because obviously my kids were babies and they were, they've been rolled around in ball carts. And, but I always say, whenever Brooklyn was graduating, I told her the coolest thing is you've been raised by hundreds of young women throughout your life. You've been raised by hundreds of families who helped guide you, who picked you up from school, who fed you, who all these things that what a blessing that is compared to not having that. And so, yeah,
yeah, really, that really puts it into a different perspective of like it takes a village, and then when Brooklyn grows up or finishes college and starts her own journey, like she's just gonna have so much more different perspectives that are helping guide her thoughts,
without a
right?
doubt.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So let's talk about a little bit more in depth of being the mom of two athletes. You have a son as well that you told me is playing football, correct?
Yes, he's a junior.
And then Brooklyn is at what school?
She is a freshman at Central Washington.
All right. Did you help her with college recruiting at all?
Yes. So Brooklyn's journey has been kind of different. And the cool thing is, I think that's the thing we've learned is not every recruiting process looks the same. It all looks completely different. And there's so many levels in the college world now, too, that it used to be, it was like go big or go home, D1 or bust. And that's just not the case if there's the passion to it. And so Brooklyn actually started out, she was a really good soccer player. So she played soccer her entire life. It was actually the reason for us moving to Dallas because she was with FC Dallas. And we were driving 5.5 hours every weekend for games, and it may just be one game, and we were driving over 10 hours for that
Wow.
game. Um, so she actually she had played volleyball and obviously been in the gym with volleyball her whole life, but not in the competitive sense as it is here in North Texas. And so we always say, yes, like she played club in junior high, but more of like regionally. Um, and then we got to Dallas and it was like, okay, then like the doomsday of tryouts in North Texas happened. We were unprivy to it. And even though I had been a college coach and recruited the area and everything, you just don't understand the inner workings of it till you're here.
It's a monster.
It is a monster. And so, just by chance, and I think just grace of God, we got connected at Arete. And I would say, so her 15th year was her first year playing like true club ball. And it was in North Texas. And just took off. And it was awesome. And then I was also her high school head coach as well, which was it was awesome because you're sharing this experience with your kid and you're getting to I had poured out into all these athletes all these years before her even, and she was just learning by being around, not necessarily me pouring into her. And there were a lot of hurdles in it. Only had to kick her out of practice once because there was still a mother-daughter
Yes.
definite. And but it was also really cool because it taught us that one, like I will say, one of the hard parts, just politics of all the things that after games everybody goes and hugs their parents and this and that. And even though, yes, everybody knew she was my daughter, we kind of look alike. And so um, it was one of those things like we knew we didn't do all the hugging and all of that till we like would go to my office. And then I got to love on her, tell her how proud I was. But which also was really cool because it was kind of our own intimate moment. And so, yeah, it was there. I knew when we could divulge, and there were other times it just kind of needed to be silent in the car ride home.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's pause a little bit. I want to, if you don't mind, I want to dive into a couple of things that you brought up because I think it would definitely help out, some viewers of parents that coach their kids. We can talk about that. And there's one aspect that I think you mentioned. I don't have any kids, but I had coached my stepdaughter for 2 years, and I remember, her and I. At first, it was difficult, but we had this conversation in the car ride home one time. I just basically like turned the music off and I said, "Hey, look, I want you to know that there's going to be a separation,
Hmm.
right? Like, I'm coach in the gym.
Yes.
I'm not coach in the car ride. Like there is a complete separation." So,
Sure.
was it ever said between you and Brooklyn? Did you ever tell her, "Hey, Brooklyn, look, we can't have that mother-daughter relationship in front of everybody because Susie and Jane and Tom and Mark, they're gonna think like I'm playing favoritism." That's naturally gonna happen, I think, from spectators. You don't want to add to that, or pour fuel on the fire. So, how did you have that discussion with her? Did she understand as a player and as a daughter? And what was that conversation like?
I think honestly, because she knew no other life, it was different because she knew. I think we did come to a point where it was like, okay, you're not the one I need to bounce stuff off to on the car ride home. Even though just because she already had such a great knowledge of the game, she wasn't my assistant coach. She was my player. Um, but I think too, coaches' kids and coaches who coach their kids sometimes get this bad rap that they're going to get favoritism. And every single one of them will tell you, I'm way harder on
Yeah.
her than I was anyone else. The expectations and standards were a lot higher on just even to how she carried herself, how she had to interact. And yes, it is different. Yes, it is hard. But there's a lot of positives to it as well. So I think for us, it was just a kind of, it didn't have to really be spoken, but at times it was one of those like, okay, here's our little boundaries in certain areas, and it doesn't change anything, but we'll keep it within some lines every now
For
and then.
sure. For sure. I think you're absolutely right. People think daddy ball or mommy ball really exists, right? Well, oh, they're just playing their kid because they're the coach's kid. What in all actuality, people are
Mhm.
a lot harder and held to a higher standard.
For sure. And yeah, I just think it's hard because everyone wants the best for their kid. I'm not naive to the fact that every single parent wants the best for their kid. As a coach, my job is always to do what's best for the team as a whole. And so it's always trying to keep that in perspective for everyone, not just at home.
And I think at the older age groups, right? Let's say 16, 17s, if any of our viewers are coaching their kid, I think there's that balance between I'm their parent and I do want them to get playing time for college recruiting later on. They have to get showcased, but then also I have to make the right decision for 11 or 12 other kids, not just this one, right?
Exactly.
So that's going to be difficult, right? Did you ever find yourself kind of at that crossroads of at whatever age group you coached her of, hey, I got to do what's best, like you said, for the 10 or 11 other players. You're going to have to sit out in this game. And then did that ever cause any issues?
You know, it really didn't, but I will say, because I was her head coach her sophomore year even, and her freshman year. But when she went through the tryout process just like everyone else, and I made all my assistant coaches do the grading on her and not me,
That's awesome.
just to try to level it out in the unbiasedness. Um, just to have black and white to where it wasn't I know what she can do and I know what she brings, but just bring that unbiased level playing ground.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like for your colleagues, your assistant coaches, that probably taught them a lesson of, hey, look what the head coach is doing to her own daughter.
Right.
She's being as fair as possible. So
Right.
I think without knowing that you're doing it, you taught them a lesson in what you should do. So that's kudos to your character. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks.
No problem. No problem. All right. So, like, what advice would you give? Let's take the coach role out of it. Right now, let's go into the footsteps of you just being a mom, because you didn't coach Brooklyn every year, right? She had other coaches as well. So when you're watching her play, when you're watching her go through the recruiting process, or you're watching her just, go through daily drama with their team or winning and losing, right? Just normal adversity.
Yes.
As a parent, what advice would you give other parents who are maybe watching on how to deal with the adversity that your kid's going through and how to help them navigate through that without doing it for them?
For sure. I think the biggest lesson is keeping everything in perspective, and that not everything is do or die, and not everything is good or bad. Not everything has to have this solid line of either you're on this side or you're on this side. And I think for parents, and I think especially in the club world, is we pay money to do this. And so there becomes this more investment into it. And we've got to remember at the end of the day, this game was created to be fun. This game was created for the life lessons. And I think teaching them, because really what it teaches you is how to navigate being an adult. You have to have hard conversations. You have to learn how to stand up for yourself. Being a team player is not always the easiest. And, whether you have opinions of who should be playing, who should not be playing, this or that, at the end of the day, we're all going to be a part of a team in the workforce someday. And it's learning to do the right thing when it's hard. And I know there's been times where Brooklyn came home and was just hurt by whatever it was. And not just jumping on and sending out an email out of emotions, but sitting and really looking at the big picture and how to teach her to work through those emotions and it not be that rapid fire shoot off an email, you're the worst. Why is my daughter crying and hurting? But more so of like, okay, what can we learn and grow from this to be better tomorrow?
I think it's a great lesson, especially in this day and age. I talk to so many parents, and immediately when something happens, like when a problem arises, conflict ensues,
Yes.
what did they do? Why did they do that? It's blame someone else, blame someone else. And I think sometimes it's not necessarily about the blame. I think it's, let's teach our kid how to navigate that, right?
Right.
Let's teach our
Absolutely.
kid how to have a conversation with somebody versus it's their fault. Like what could I have done differently?
And I think the biggest life lesson is we're not supposed to fix everything for them. We're not supposed to fix it. It's not all going to be great. It's not all going to be easy, but it's about learning how to navigate that and not be emotionally charged when kind of responding to those circumstances.
I think as adults, right? Just you and I, like I think that's a lesson that I need to practice daily for sure. It's
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to figure out how to cope with something, right?
Yes.
And sometimes life doesn't go. I always say, and I think I've said this in almost every episode, but one of my life mottos is life is undefeated. You're gonna lose. You have to figure out how to be okay with it. And
Agree.
it's not necessarily a roadblock, just as a detour. Go a different
Yeah.
way.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
All right. Well, this is awesome. This is a pretty in-depth conversation. I'm glad that we're having it. I think that whoever, my two viewers that might watch this podcast, I think they'll definitely I think they'll definitely get some good insight from your perspective. But now let's talk about another perspective, if you don't mind. I heard through a little birdie that you're starting some type of project called She's
Yes.
Greater Than. You want to talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit?
So she's greater than. Actually, Brooklyn came up with the name, and it is on Instagram now. We're in the social media world, and I wanted to create something different. So I've been a part of leadership and character development for a while, and just really love it. And one thing we learned, especially after COVID, and I was coaching college during COVID, was everything changed. Everything changed
Everything.
on the sense of recruitment. Our athletes changed, the mental aspect of everything changed, and we didn't necessarily have an answer for it. You were just kind of navigating and walking and thinking, okay, what now? What do we do? And so for me, the main point is anybody who's trying to tell you that they can get you to college to play is wrong. It is a job to get recruited. It is a real job. And the hard part is because the canvas and the climate of everything has changed, we don't always really know what that looks like. The NCAA comes out with new rules, I feel like every 6 months on something. New windows, new ways. The transfer portal, of course, happened too. And it's changed the whole format. And for me, especially one that I've played in college, I've coached high school, head coach. I've also coached college and recruited, and I've also been a mom through the recruitment process. That I just kind of have a different perspective on it all because I've done it in so many different layers of life.
Yes.
And for me, it's giving something different than just saying, okay, you want to go to college, I can get you there. Because the fact of the matter is, I can't do it. Is me. I have coaching friends and colleagues across the nation, but there's way more that goes into it than just wanting to go play. And it's also being realistic with the level that you want to play at, the position that you are. So Brooklyn is a DS libero, which we know is really a really hard position to be recruited at.
Correct. Correct.
because we have in the college level where an outside who maybe doesn't have the same height at the college level then transitions into a DS. It's way competitive at the DS lib position. And so it was navigating that and understanding, and then throw scholarships in on it, and what schools do give scholarships, what they don't, what that looks like. I know something pretty regularly you see, especially at the DS lib position, is like 2 for 2. They won't pay for the first 2 years, then they pay for the next 2 years. Is that something your family can do or not do? And how do you navigate that? And filling out everything, filling out FAFSA. I think that's something a lot of families don't, we throw it around, but I really want to help guide them through those steps so that you're not then, oh crap, now what?
Yes, yes. So then if someone is looking for that guidance or that knowledge, they can contact you through social media, or I mean, how do they get a hold of
Yes.
you?
I mean, social media would be probably top one. And I'm on, I want to say Twitter, but X as well. And I think that's always a good starting point, and then be able to meet with them and, yeah, have a bunch of little avenues that I'm kind of working out and just trying to do different and more for the families instead of a money grab.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think we know there's a lot of different companies and people that are trying to do this, but they're doing it, in my opinion, a little differently than they should, right? It's all financially based and not really truly for the athlete or truly to help them. There's a lot of promises that are getting thrown out there, and I say this at every event that we have, and I'm sure there's recordings of me saying this, but at both the beginning at the end, when I'm speaking to all of the players that go through our prep dig showcases, I tell them there's not one person that can give you a college scholarship except for the college coach themselves. So
Agree.
your job is to market yourself and then start building a relationship with these coaches and then start contacting them, right? So that in that lies a big problem with, okay, that sounds good. That's step number one. I need to contact schools. But how do I do that? Well, then that's where She's Greater Than will come in, and you can have good conversations and teach with good guidance because you've been there
Yeah.
at so many different levels.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, what I'll do for all of our amazing audience subscribers that are going to
All
watch
3.
this, I'll go ahead and put on the slide here after we're done with the interview, where they can find She's Greater Than and your Instagram handle and the X handle and everything. So I'll help you get a plug for it. Sound
Love
good?
it. Yes. It's perfect.
Perfect. Well, I know you didn't know we were going to do this, but I have something fun. I want to go ahead and throw it. I
Do it.
like to have fun.
Let's do it.
I'm just
I'm with you.
I like to have a little bit of fun. So we're going to do a little hot seat. I like to do a little hot seat
Hey.
questionnaire. So have you ever played a game called word association where I say a word and then you say the very first thing that pops into your mind?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. For example,
Yes.
clear your mind right now. And I say blue.
Sky.
There you go. All right. So that's it. You get it. I
Okay.
want clear your mind, and I just want the
Yes.
first answer that comes in your head.
Okay.
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 All right. Sounds good. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen here, and you're going to have a series of questions. I'm going to pick one, and I
Okay.
want you to give me the first answer that pops into your head.
Love it.
Sound good?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. And sharing my screen.
So
All
pretty.
right. A little bit of would you rather volleyball style. All right.
Go.
So you can say your answer as a coach, as a player, or just as a spectator, what you would rather do with volleyball. All right. So here we go. And the first question to would you rather is, would you rather always play the first game of the day or the last game of the day in a tournament?
First day. First
The
game.
first game? Why? Why
Yes.
the first game?
First game. You're fresh. The number of times say your start time is supposed to be 3 and then you're not starting till 5 and you
Yeah.
walk out of the gym at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Brutal.
Horrible. I know those feelings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now,
Yes.
although I really hated playing the first match of the day sometimes because you
Yes.
never know who was rested and who was not rested as a coach, so you don't know what players are going to step
So,
up, but at least you know your day is going to hopefully end roughly around the same time, and then you can have your evening to unwind and
yeah.
relax, which I really never had because I was always worried
No.
about the next day.
Yes. Agreed.
All right, perfect. Love your answer.
Yes.
I think a lot of people would agree. We're going to do a couple more if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Question number 2 to Would You Rather Volleyball Edition. Would you rather have unlimited free shoes or unlimited free food?
Free food.
Free food.
I'll
Yeah.
take the holes in the shoes. I'll take the shoestrings that are barely hanging on. Especially free food in a convention center where it's like $24 for an acai bowl.
Exactly.
Yes.
In this economy, free food all day long.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Good answer. I agree with you. I think everything is just way too expensive now. All right, question number 3 of Would You Rather. Would you rather have the highest vertical on your team or the most powerful swing?
I'm going to say vertical. One
Mm,
thing I always say is, man, sometimes you can't teach genetics. And I can teach a skill, I can teach the concept of the game and help with this and that. I can't teach you to always just jump higher.
yeah, exactly. It kind of just makes the game that much easier,
Yes.
right? For those players that can just naturally get up high. I
Yes.
think if I swung super hard, but I only got up 1 inch,
Right.
I'd hit everything out of bounds.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we're gonna do one more just to have a little bit of fun. All right, one more and then we're done. Taryn Parker, would you rather play in front of 10,000 fans you don't know or just 50 fans of your family and friends?
God, off the top of
That,
my head,
that's a big
I
crowd.
know that is a big crowd, which is amazing, and the game has grown so much. But there is just something about having support of your people. I think that's kind of one thing that's really cool, and where athletes get two different scenarios is, say, in high school they're playing in front of all these people and not everyone they know, and in the club world you're playing just in front of your family and teammates families, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's just something to it whenever you have that support behind you. It just makes the game that much better, right? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they're
Agreed. All right. Well, thank you for going through that
Yay!
segment of Would You Rather. That was the first. You're the first person to do a Would You Rather with me.
Let's go.
Awesome. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode for now. I'm sure we're going to have a part 2 with Miss Parker. Hopefully, we'll have her daughter Brooklyn on, and we'll actually get Brooklyn's take on, some of those car rides home, or
Maybe
how
it's the
she
same, maybe different.
how she handled the coach mom relationship with you. But I just want to thank you for being on this episode.
I'll always do anything for you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. You're awesome. And for everyone else, hopefully you like this episode. If you would, please share, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be on the episode as a guest, please feel free to send me an email or a message and we'll set that up. So thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a great day.